Ben Folds 5's self-titled debut album was released on August 8th, 1995. That's 30 years ago, in case you're doing the math over there, buddy. Crazy to think that this album's 30 years old. You wrote me a text and said, we have to talk about Ben Folds 5 self-titled debut album because, man, is it amazing. And we used to listen to this constantly. So we're going to talk through 10 different questions that help us explore the album. And the first question that I will throw to you while we talk about Ben Folds 5 self-titled debut album is, what makes this album so interesting to you?
What makes this album so interesting is, have you heard anything else like this? Because I haven't. I had never heard anything like this before. I haven't heard anything like this since. This album is amazing. To mesh 50s lounge singer, crooner, whatever that word is, with 90s alternative rock music is just a crazy blend. It works. You say that out loud and you're like, what? That couldn't possibly work. Well, Ben Folds 5 made it work. It was awesome 30 years ago. It's still awesome now.
This album is so full of contrasts for me. There's this sort of duality throughout the entire album. And the more I thought about it, the more it was like, that's so true across the board. It's a debut album that sounds so advanced on so many levels. It's both sophisticated and sometimes like knowingly juvenile. Maybe playful is a better word. It's aggressive, but it's also uses instrumentation that's not really associated with aggression. It has these punk rock sensibilities with this sort of, like, again, sort of instrumentation and arrangements that you might associate with like a soft rock veneer. And it deals with these universal themes throughout the course of this album with like all these seemingly inside jokes. I mean, think about the people that are mentioned on this album. It's like a long list of people that we don't know, which is just like Summer B, Alice Children, Uncle Walter, like, who are these people? You just get it's Darren's girlfriend. It's like, you just have this impression that it's this thing is full of just, hey, this is written kind of in reference to our social network and stuff like that. Yet it talks about things that are really universal in that sense. So to me, this album encompasses a lot, and there's all this juxtaposition of these contrasting things that I find really compelling. What's your earliest memory of, I guess, just Ben Folds in general, or this album specifically?
My first memory of Ben Folds 5 is probably, what was their first big hit? Brick.
Brick.
Uh, they're on the MTV all the time. They're on the radio all the time with Brick. And people in our class are starting to buy the album. And then your friends are playing it for you, and you're like, oh gosh. I remember thinking, Brick was kind of catchy, but it wasn't really my thing. And then I hear the first track on Whatever Never Amen, and then Song for the Dumped. And I'm like, what in the world? This guy has crazy attitude, and like, these songs are so energetic and like raw and in your face. And so I got Whatever Never Amen, loved it. And then this is the time of what was it, BMG, get 10
Yeah.
CDs for a penny or whatever. So it's like, okay, well, I'm signing up for BMG and just getting all these albums. And I remember I was like, oh, they've got an album before Whatever Never Amen. Well, I'm going to get that. And so I listened to that, and I'm like, I think upon first listen, I'm like, I like this better than Whatever Never Amen.
Yeah.
And I'm just wearing this out. I was thinking about when I was listening to this album, first listening to it. I think it was that time frame before we were going to school together in high school and hanging out all the time. And so it was when I was hanging out with a different group of friends, but that group of friends, it was like, whether you liked uh, Will Smith getting jiggy with it, or Spice Girls, everybody could agree on Ben Folds. Ben Folds 5. It was like they're playing brick at the 8th grade dance or freshman dance or whatever. And it's one of those albums that everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Ben Folds 5, that's cool." And it appealed to a lot of people.
Brick was definitely my introduction to the band as well. I had the same experience, which is like I heard Brick, not for me so much. I thought, sort of soft and whatever, ballady, and then I mean it's very heavy subject matter too. But then I think it might have been you. You might have been like, you need to listen to the rest of that album. Like listen to everything but Brick. And then you realize like, wow. And it might have been, I might have seen a live performance on Conan, or maybe it was on something else. I don't remember, but I think it was Song for the Dumped, and they played it live, and they go into this really cool breakdown where it's like the bass player takes the cable out of his bass and uses the cable as like that, and he starts to use it as sort of a rhythmic thing, and it gets into this thing, and Ben Folds is just going crazy, and he's jumping around at the piano, and sometimes when you see them play live, he's taking the mic and he's like rubbing it on the strings, and it's just like that whole line about this is like punk rock with a piano. It was like, okay, I get it now. And then you're right. I went back and listened to the debut album, and I was like, I think I like this even more so today. When you listen to this, are there standout tracks on the self-titled Ben Folds album?
Jackson Cannery, which is the
Yeah.
first track on the album. I mean, as soon as you put it in,
Yeah.
it's like it's like right off the bat, it's like, okay, what in the world? And then how about Philosophy?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I just my favorite Ben Folds 5 style is the energy in your face. Like where, what's the song that's like starting off a gig or a show? Where's Summer Be?
Yeah.
Underground,
Yes.
The Last Polka.
Yes. You basically covered all the ones that I have on my list too. I think that like philosophy is just like an all timer. Like that's just an amazing song. We'll get into lyrics here in a minute, but like that's so good. And then Where's Summer Be, Underground, Last Polka. Other one that I have in here, which is sort of a curveball, but I even remember at the time boxing being like, wow, it showcases this whole other side of the band. But I also think it's this really timeless song that could have been written. It could have been written like pre-World War II. It's just a really well-written, beautiful song that is one of the rare times where it's like it is Ben Folds 5 scaled back a little bit, and I'm totally into it. So I had to include boxing on my list too. But those are the standout tracks for me. Speaking of lyrics, what are your favorite? Do you have a favorite sort of standout lyric or lyrics from this album?
I'm so glad you asked. I do. Right here. Let's see. My, the cruelest lies are often told without a word. My, the kindest truths are often spoke but never heard. She said, "You've been pushing me like I was a sore tooth. You can't respect me because I've done so much for you." He said, "Well, I hate that it's come to this, but baby, I was doing fine. How do you think that I survived the other 25 before you? The end is
Yes.
growing near, and we're treading water now and holding back our tears. And the day is rising, we're sinking. Sha la 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 la."
So you can laugh all you want to. I've got my philosophy. It keeps my feet on the ground, and I love you. You're my friend, but you've got no philosophy. What a great line. What a great line that is. It's so good. And then the other one that occurred to me too was off of Video. Closing in on the pain and the torture, he's slamming the doors like it's something to strive for. The girl tearing curtains down looks funny as hell, and a sense of humor. Can there be any doubt? Yeah, well, natural selection has weeded it out. Used to keep me from laughing out loud, but that's gone. We don't think that way no more. Oh, man, it's so good. There's so many like I don't. Just from a young guy to be writing this is this sort of level of of lyric writing, in addition to like level of playing and technical proficiency and all that stuff. It's insane. And when you listen to this album, there's so much to hang your hat on lyrically. It's like at a time when I don't think either of us were paying super close attention to lyrics in the first place, you can't avoid them in a Ben Folds 5 album, and especially this album. And it's like I could have kept going, but I limited myself to two.
I totally agree. The depth of lyrics on this album is just amazing.
Is there a peak moment on Ben Folds 5's self-titled album?
I'm going with Underground. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I remember when I first listened to this, I think Underground was the one that hit me. It just seems like that like party anthem, the sing along song. So Underground for me is the peak moment.
I think Underground feels like the best summary. I don't know if it's the summary of the lyrical content of the album, but I can totally see that. There's something about Underground that feels like a manifesto of what was happening in the 90s with like, and it probably in the throughout the 80s, late 80s with like underground scenes and all this stuff. Like it feels like it's really speaking to that in a clever, fun way. I went with I didn't expect this before I started putting this list together, but the more I thought about it, I landed on Last Polka. I feel like it's just this really good culmination of what's happening musically throughout the album. So that was my peak of the self-titled album. Interested to hear who you think Ben Folds Fives. There we go. Is that it?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think so.
It's technically right, but man, that sounds weird. Ben Folds Fives contemporaries. Who are they?
Well, I seriously couldn't come up with anybody. I mean, here's what I did. I composed a list of people that I think people were listening to at the same time, and it was like,
Mm.
"Oh, yeah, I like them. Oh, and I really like them." And it's so silly. I hate to even say it out loud. Weezer,
Okay.
No Doubt.
Okay.
Gosh, and here's one that I just thought of. I was like, man, what were people listening to at the same time that was like kind of genre bending? It
Yeah.
brought people from a lot of different groups to this one place. Alanis Morissette. Is that
That's interesting.
crazy? Is that
No, I
crazy?
think those all
I
make
don't
sense.
think they sound anything alike. I just
Right.
think it was like at the time, I was trying to think what were like in people's CD cases next to each other, you know?
Yeah. No, that makes
What
total
did you
sense.
come up with?
So I did throw Cake in there when we talked about Fashion Nugget. We did a deep dive on that. Not so much like again, not so much like that they sound identical or whatever, but the genre bending. There's a wit there. There's a fearlessness of being not uber like there's like they don't they there's a confidence in we talked about John McCrae like being like the Viking alpha male rock that's going on at the time. Like we felt different from that, and we decided to dive headfirst into that. And I feel like that could be said for Ben Folds 5. I also went with Guster, even though they're a little later. They were kicking around in the mid to late '90s, getting started, and I again, not like there's a whole lot of parallels, maybe vocally a little bit, but I feel like they're swimming in the same waters. Like they could tour on the same bill, and it would make total sense to me. Musically, in a way, I felt like throwing Fish in there, largely because of that lively, sophisticated piano and the sophisticated drums and bass. I mean, they could be really technically proficient. Again, charting different areas there, different territories. I don't think that those bands are identical, but it wouldn't shock me to have someone like to see Billy Breeze next to Whatever Never Amen or next to this album. So those were three that came to mind. Cake, Guster, and Fish were ones that I thought this works for me. It's kind of like your criteria, like what makes sense side by side with this album, and all three of those kind of made sense to me.
I totally agree with all of those. I wrote Guster down, and it's that same kind of thing. It's like, here's bands that are in this rock genre, but we're not relying on you know, we're not relying on the prototypical rock frontman to lead the band. So I do like all of those.
If the Ben Folds 5 self-titled debut album, I've really leaned into that, haven't I? Every time I talk about this album, it's like I
I
need like
love
a
it.
paragraph. If this was a movie, what movie would the Ben Folds 5 self-titled debut album be?
Ben Folds Five's self-titled album is the movie Bottle Rocket.
Oh, wow. Wow. I love this. Okay.
Bottle Rocket is a movie about a trio that decides to try to break free from their mundane existence by getting into organized crime. And this is Ben Folds Five is a trio that are all seem to talk about their mundane existence and trying to escape their redneck past. And this is Ben Folds Five's debut. Bottle Rocket was Wes Anderson's first film. That is why that is Bottle Rocket.
Man, I think okay, I think you've trumped me again, and I also think that we're thinking in the same thing. I had down Rushmore, uh, so
That's
really,
awesome.
isn't it crazy? Like we're swimming in the same waters here. I mean, Rushmore is whip smart, emotionally resonant, filled with this strange mix of adolescent arrogance and sort of genuine empathy. Both the album and the film walk this tightrope between humor, heartbreak. I feel like Max Fisher and Ben Folds both seem like sort of wisecracking prodigies. But I love I also love the Bottle Rocket for those reasons. The trio, the debut from Wes Anderson. But yeah, like it's funny that we were drawn to the same couple of movies there. I feel like I might actually prefer the Bottle Rocket comparison. Okay, you can assign any band that you want, any band or artist, past or present, to cover this album. Who do you want to hear cover Ben Folds Five's self-titled debut album?
Okay. I have taken full liberties here and created my own super group.
I love this new lane that you've created. This is great.
I said I was going to turn over a new leaf and start giving these musicians their props. So I forgot to do that. Ben Folds 5 consists of bassist Robert Sledge and drummer Darren Jesse, obviously, pianist and vocalist Ben Folds. So they are who needs to cover this band is a super group that I've created. On drums, we have Stuart Copeland. On
Right.
uh, on bass, they have reunited again. Les Claypool on bass, and their front man they have brought back from the dead is Freddie Mercury, and
Yes.
their band is called Toxicology.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Dude, okay, to have Freddie Mercury and Les Claypool in the same band, that's quite a feat. I salute you, sir, for this. I did just go with people who are just who are just doing their thing in current form. I'd I'd, I'd love to hear Saint Vincent cover this album. I feel like that's a little out of left field, but I would just love to hear her do her own thing. Not try, I mean, she's a guitarist, but she's a very good guitarist. I'd like to hear her and but she can also dabble, and you don't always hear Saint Vincent and be like, oh, this is guitar music. Sometimes you do, but it can also be other things. I just like to hear her interpretation of it. Or if we wanted to be a little bit more literal, I would like to hear the Lemon Twigs stay somewhat faithful to the original. I feel like they also swim in the same waters as Ben Folds 5. So those were the ones that I would like to do it. I'm very curious though
Those
to hear.
those are
Yeah,
good. Yeah, that's what I was thinking is, gosh, who could sing these
right.
vocal parts? That's why I had to bring Freddie Mercury back from the dead, because gosh, the singing on this album is just amazing. And so, it was just hard for me to think who could do the vocal parts on this album justice, but I love who you came up with. Would you like to hear who Ben Folds 5 is in the sports world?
I can't wait. I've been really eagerly anticipating which athlete or sports team you think that Ben Folds 5 is.
They are the 94-95 Georgetown Hoyas men's basketball team. Ben
Wow.
Folds is Allen Iverson, is played
Oh,
by
that's
Allen
great.
Iverson. Yeah, I mean, you look at Ben Folds, you're
That's
like,
what I
that
think.
kinda looks like Allen Iverson. I'm
Yeah.
sure they play basketball, very similarly, because, Al if you don't know who Allen Iverson is, he kind of brought a whole new flavor to basketball that nobody had seen before. He was undersized and maybe not underappreciated, but underestimated. And but then he brought a big time game that people had to recognize as a prolific scorer immediately. So that's why Ben Folds 5 is the Georgetown Hoyas.
I love that. I love the Allen Iverson, Ben Folds player comp. That's really good. Okay, I took a little bit of a left turn and went with the U.S. men's curling team from the 2018 Olympics. Quirky
Yes.
underdogs who won people over with charisma, teamwork. Didn't really look like athletes. Outplayed the competition, strategy, unity. Could double as a metaphor for Ben Folds 5. Ben Folds 5's early underdog appeal. Outsiders to the grunge era who carved in a lane of their own. Yeah, so they're the curling team from the 2018 Olympics.
Are they really athletes?
It's a great question. We'll have to tackle that. Okay, takeaways. That brings us to the end of this. Anything that you take away from this album more than just this is a bunch of great songs. What's your takeaways on the self-titled album?
My takeaway is this is a groundbreaking work, um, because you know I feel like we on this channel and podcast we get to discuss uh, moments in time where things just work out, where all things come together to give you this great thing. Some artists, I think, nail it on a debut where it's just like I've been writing songs and I have all this I want to get out, and just the first thing that comes out's the most amazing. Some people I feel like give you this perfect work after they get freedom to do whatever they want. So maybe that's on a debut album, or maybe it's 3 or 4 albums down the road. But anyway, I think this is when Ben Folds uh, I think he perfected his craft later on, but what he did with these other two musicians just captured this perfect time where, like you said, rock was in this period of uber angst and aggression and uh, dark alternative feelings and emotions, and there were no rules, and you could do whatever you wanted. And so we got some all kinds of cool music too, because there were no more rules and people could do whatever they wanted, and you can have a piano playing frontman in a rock alternative band. So I just think this was a groundbreaking album that nothing else sounds like this before it and nothing sounds like it after, and it stands the test of time as being just really good music.
Absolutely. There's very much a mid 90s sensibility about this album. It combines this sort of snarkiness with this playfulness, yet it's also really unique. It's a unique album from a unique band. It has also has to be one of the most proficient debut albums ever made as far as compositions and performances are concerned. Just something really special with this album. It meant a lot to me at the time. I can listen to it now and I don't think it feels dated at all. So yeah, I'm really glad that you wrote me that text and that we're now discussing this album. It's been a lot of fun. And if you have enjoyed this video, then we encourage you to give us a like, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. It really does help the channel if you do this. And then we want to hear from you. Most importantly, we want your feedback. What sports team is Ben Folds 5? What movie is the self-titled album? Give us the answers to these questions and tell us if there's an album that you want us to do a deep dive on. Because yeah, we love doing this. I love diving deep into an album like the self-titled album and just listening to it for 2 weeks and thinking deeply about it. It's a lot of fun. Appreciate you bringing it up, buddy. It's been a pleasure, and we'll do this again soon.
Sounds good. Go down to the bottom and do all the things. Touch the thumbs up thing and then touch the subscribe thing. Be our
What
friends.
if you don't like and subscribe to this video? What is it? Your mom and dad? You don't love your mom and dad.
Yeah.
That's
And they know
that.
it. They'll feel your love disappear and everything that you had together as a family will disintegrate to nothing. You're an orphan now. If you don't subscribe, you're an orphan.
That's it.